This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. If you thought Prince Harry couldn't get any more irritating and annoying, think again. While Americans are still picking up the pieces from the economic wreckage these liberal left globalists have inflicted over the past decade, many still struggling to afford gas for their cars or put food on their tables, the self-styled Duke of Sussex is still virtue signaling in Kiev.
Kevin, I'm just trying to keep my cool about Harry. I think it's a complete disgrace. I am so angry. Let me try and explain. Just allow me a little bit of time, please.
Please.
Here is an individual born into royalty, lucky so-and-so, had everything. He is not the only person to have lost his mother. My God, a disgrace. They wanted to get out of the royal family. They got out. And all they've done since is stick their rotten snouts back into this country. Yep. Nobody wants them. He is trashing his own family. And by trashing his own family, Kevin, he's trashing the actual monarchy and the heritage and values of this great country. Charles really's got to get a grip. I like Charles. I'm supportive of him. But, Kevin, I'm afraid he appears very weak. He needs to immediately remove those titles.
Agreed. Absolutely agree.
And the rate and of course these rotten left-wing public broadcasting or private broadcasting associations, why do they give Harry the oxygen of this publicity?
Well,
and by the way, Kevin, who is paying for all these trips?
That's a good point.
Who is paying for all these legal things he does? Moaning Minnie and moaning Mickey, the lot of them, I think they are a complete and utter disaster. And I'll tell you this, if Trump's got any BALLS about him, given that apparently, allegedly, I better say, Harry has not been totally accurate on his visa application, they should kick him out.
Kick him out. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
If he comes back here, I hope he doesn't, but if he does, with that repugnant, rotten wife of his, they will see how much the people of this country dislike him. He should just crawl away and get on with his life.
I agree. Listen, Elliot, it goes like this. I think that it is time for the king to act. If Harry's going to abuse that royal title he no longer deserves, then he should have it taken away from him, just like Andrew. He should no longer be the Duke of Sussex, and he should no longer be Prince Harry. He should just be Harry. And then he wouldn't really be able to go to Ukraine because he's abusing his position. He's getting involved in matters he does not understand. To be honest with you, as I said earlier, they're way above his intellectual pay grade. He's too dim to be making these speeches. And he's done it deliberately, in my view, to overshadow his father's trip to America and to undermine it. And I think that is an absolute living disgrace. You put it better than I could, Elliot, but I agree with every word you said.
Already, he has lectured the world that America has a responsibility to do more, and that it's time to hold our leaders to account, pointing the finger directly at President Trump as he spoke to ITV today for an interview with propagandist Chris Shipp.
Let's talk about your speech yesterday. I mean, I thought it was a significant intervention. I mean, you said you weren't a politician, but you mentioned American leadership, Russian leadership. Now you're no longer a working royal, and heaven knows there's been enough. Comment about that over the years. Do you feel like emboldened? The shackles are off, free to say things about the world you couldn't say before 2020?
Look, I think the Overton window has shifted somewhat over the last 5 years.
So, in case you don't know what Harry's talking about, the Overton window is a political model describing the range of policies considered acceptable by the majority of a population at a particular time. So, when we look at the last 4 years under the Biden regime, the policies that were being pushed out were highly destructive, as well as not conducive to the 99% of the population, which only benefited the rich and wealthy. We're seeing this play out in the UK, EU, Australia. It didn't work. And Harry's talking about these policies being shifted. Yes, rightfully so. Here in America, we don't want this leftist ideology shit. This is what he is really pissed off about. This is why he and the rest of these globalists hate Donald Trump. It's because he threw a wrench in this globalist one world agenda shit.
What would worry me is if we live in a world where anyone in my position or anybody anywhere can't speak about the very things and the realities that we're seeing.
Again, here's Harry talking as if he's some elected political official. What position is Harry in to be able to address these concerns? On policies, let alone American ones, which is why I have been on this guy from Jump Street, because he shouldn't be meddling in pushing policy here in the United States and affecting our rights. He has no right to be doing that.
And to hold those in leadership positions accountable.
Again, what position is this guy in to have the authority to hold people in positions of leadership accountable?
As far as shackles, from my perspective, we need to be collectively, as a global community, we need to feel empowered to be able to speak truth to power.
We saw Harry at the Kiev Security Forum yesterday audaciously lecture President Trump and his administration on foreign policy. He told the world that the United States has obligations to this Ukraine war. Not out of charity, but because we need to honor our treaty obligations. Meaning, it's the United States' responsibility to hand over our taxpayer money, but also provide our military men to keep Europe secure. Never mind the $350 billion of taxpayer money laundered into globalist elite pockets and then right back into funding the destructive leftist policies and ideologies that was forced onto Americans during the Obama and Biden regimes. Harry is demanding Americans must keep the grift going because he says so.
This is a moment for American leadership. A moment for America to show that it can honor its international treaty obligations.
Excuse me? Treaty obligations. Since when does a low-tier British royal who moved to California to pretend he was finding freedom make Netflix woke propaganda while moaning and attacking his family on global TV with race baiter Oprah get to dictate the foreign policy of the United States of America? Harry, if you're listening, in case you weren't taught this at Eton, America fought a war in 1776 so we wouldn't have to listen to aristocratic imperial elite parasites like yourself. But this is not just a headache or some D-list celebrity thirsty for attention. This is a full-blown diplomatic crisis, and today I'm exposing the terrifying reality of Prince Harry's global community and the damage he is raging against the West with his reckless use of his global platform. Let's talk about Harry's freedom of speech, otherwise known as his voice.
We need to be collectively, as a global community, we need to feel empowered to be able to speak truth to power. It's really that simple. It's bad enough in today's world feeling gagged and saying that you can't say these things and can't say that, and that everything becomes political. I fundamentally disagree with that. What we are witnessing and what we are seeing is a humanitarian catastrophe in multiple parts of the world, and people are speaking up, and people will continue to speak up.
Yeah, he's right. People are speaking up, but that's because people like Harry and his cabal of friends that include George Soros are funding groups to go out and protest and use their voice.
And I would encourage more people to do the speaking up because, as I said, the vast majority of people want to see an end to these conflicts and an end to this endless division that is largely being created online.
He tells ITV today that we need to speak truth to power. He says we need to feel empowered as a global community. But where was Harry's voice for the last 4 years under the Biden regime? Where was his voice when the borders were left wide open and 400,000 children went missing into the abyss of human trafficking? Where was Harry's voice when fentanyl, imported through those same open borders, was killing 100,000 Americans a year? And most of all, where was his voice when unvetted Afghans were flown into our neighborhoods on the taxpayers' dime? A move he and his wife graciously applauded and profited from through the Biden regime's Operations Allies Welcome. It's quite convenient that Harry's silent when Americans were suffering and dying as a result of the leftist agenda. But now he's angry it's been exposed. He's silent when our sovereignty was being shredded by the ideology that now is destroying all of his father's realms at the same time. But the second his globalist friends are insulted, the U.S. does not want to shell out any more billions for Ukraine and their fraudulent NGOs. Suddenly, Harry is a geopolitical expert?
And I think that at the same time, it's what would worry me is if we live in a world where anyone in my position or anybody anywhere can't speak about the very things and the realities that we're seeing, and to hold those in leadership positions accountable, but also be able to try to encourage more support where support is needed.
He's out there shaming our president while Americans are trying to recover from the rape of the globalist imperial system that had been draining America's strength, left us vulnerable, demoralized, and almost enslaved us. It's like the height of elitist gaslighting with this guy. He doesn't want a community. He wants the socialist Marxist collective where you pay the bill and he and his friends and family get to grift off of it. The idea for peace is actually enslaving the population so they can take from the collective. Harry literally is the modern-day communist Nazi and is why he's so supportive of Ukraine. And this is where it gets dark. Harry isn't just a useful idiot for the globalists. He's an active participant in an operation to enslave and silence dissenters. You don't need me to rehash his work at the Aspen Institute. Look at his obsession with mis and disinformation and anything that does not align with his wife's false narratives. They seem to deem it and label it as hate. We all know that for 4 years, this man, his scumbag wife, and the deep state backing them were running a military-grade censorship operation designed to gag voices online, including Americans' protected speech. Let's not forget he called the First Amendment bonkers. Why? It's because the First Amendment is the only thing standing in the way of this cognitive control these modern-day living Nazis have been seeking. Let me remind you that this douchebag prince and his low-life wife took full advantage of our First Amendment to sell their multiple versions of their truth for millions. But the moment any of us spoke up about their hypocrisy, challenged his wife's lies, and the fraud with these pregnancies, he wants you demonetized and preferably deplatformed from the entire internet. That isn't speaking truth to power. This was literally a psychological warfare attack operation being run by a foreign national on American soil. In any other era, this would be seen as an act of war. And here's the most infuriating part. He's still using the crown to do it. Even as he trashes our president and lectures our people, he told ITV today when asked about if he recognizes the phrase, not a working royal. Listen to what Harry had to say.
Harry, do you recognise that phrase, not a working royal? I mean, it strikes me, you're obviously from the royal family, you're here doing a trip, bringing attention to a really important cause that risks being forgotten. Do you recognise that description of you?
No, I will always be part of the royal family, and I'm here working and doing the very thing that I was born to do.
I don't know, it sounds to me like, Harry, you're trapped. If this was the only thing that you were born to do, then why the hell did you leave the institution? I'll tell you why. It's because they lied about the real reason for coming over here in 2020.
And I enjoy doing it. I enjoy being able to do these trips and come and support the people that I've met before, the friends that I've made, and hopefully bringing attention to issues that, for one reason or another, drop out of the news because something else has popped up.
You see, the problem that is being caused with this is nowhere in this interview does he say that he's there in a private capacity. Like, I can't stand how manipulative this guy is. Don't think for a second that this response that he has given was off the cuff. Of course, this was a prepared, canned response, and Harry knew that this question was going to come up. And the way that they have framed answering this gives that plausible deniability. It does allude, and you are to draw your own conclusions, that yes, he still sees himself as a respectable working royal, just like his brother. But at the same time, he can later, if challenged, say, well, I am a member of the royal family. He is making it sound like he is there in that capacity, and it doesn't matter, what people are saying. He's still working for the royal family. And I do believe that this was very intentional because they're creating the optics of Harry going off and doing his life of service. Why shouldn't he get his security back? He's doing everything that the other royals are doing. And, there he is bringing global awareness to these causes that support the UK government. Why shouldn't he get his security back? I'll tell you this much, if Harry does indeed get his way and he gets his 24/7 security for himself, his bitch wife, and the 2 invisible children for life, all of this life of service and going out and being dedicated is going to stop. Like, this is so contrived to me. Like, all of this is a show. To show, yeah, I can do the job and I'm really serious about it. But once he gets what he wants, it's over. At least that's my opinion. So for Harry, if the goal is for people to draw the conclusion he's still representing the crown and you should still have all the job perks of it, then King Charles has a massive problem on his hands. You can't have a rogue prince interfering in the domestic and foreign policy of a sovereign ally. You can't have a member of the British royal family running censorship commissions to strip Americans of their constitutional rights. The king has allowed this to go on for too long. He's let Harry use that title as a shield to launch attacks on the US-UK relationship and act like he is innocent and just doing the humanitarian work he was born to do. Trump was right yesterday to cut Harry down, saying Harry is not speaking for the UK. Harry's not speaking for the UK, nor is he speaking for the United States. But the key question here is, does Charles agree? Or is Charles part of all of this? Harry is a one-man wrecking ball to the special relationship, and I think he's causing more than a diplomatic headache. When you look at this, what is he really doing this for? It's certainly not going there and truly doing this life of service. Is this all just so he can feel important on a global stage and prove useful to these globalist parasites? Is he there to show his brother that he can do the job better? I mean, what was the purpose of broadcasting this globally? Does Harry not get that he's so oversaturated in the media that people are so turned off that this is causing an opposite reaction? All the causes that he's bringing awareness to, nobody wants to have anything to do with it? Like, at what point do you realize that you are the problem? You are the fundamental problem as to why there's so much chaos and division online, as well as people just not liking you or your wife.
What kind of support would Harry be expecting the U.S. to provide? Military support? What? We are supposed to send our troops to Europe to die on foreign soil because the sock puppet thinks we should do it? Oh, please. Now, meanwhile, of course, if he does believe in the cause that strongly, he is always touting his military career. He served, and he never lets us forget that. Maybe he should just pick up a gun and hit the front lines himself on behalf of the Ukraine. Frankly, if he's going to do that, I will pay his airfare over. I promise that. This is an outright offer. Harry, if you're going to pick up a gun, serve in the front lines with no bodyguards and no security, just like any other Ukrainian soldier or any other U.S. soldier you seem to be willing to send over there, I'll pay your airfare. I will happily pay his airfare. I would crawl on broken glass for the chance to send that man to the front lines. Believe me, I would.
I think we're at this point where it's time for the kid gloves to come off, and Prince Harry needs to be held accountable for his role in attacking this country and its citizens. It's been 5 years, and I think we are way overdue for Harry to be called before Congress. There are so many questions that Americans want answered, including myself, that the only way that we're going to get it is if Harry is legally obligated to do so. And whether it be in a court situation or before the House of Representatives, something needs to be done. Now, the big question is, at the end of the day, who is really to blame for all of this? Do we blame Meghan Markle for coming into the family and pulling Harry away and influencing? Do we blame Prince Harry for giving Meghan Markle a global platform? Because literally, he gave her the oxygen that she needed to cause so much damage. Or do we blame King Charles and the Queen for not putting their foot down and cutting the head off of the snake from the very beginning? I think it's all of the above. Harry and Meghan are the ones who have fabricated and created all of this chaos online to then go ahead to have the excuse to push for censorship. He and his wife spent 4 years unleashing their brand of victimhood and propaganda onto innocent, unsuspecting people designed to gaslight, provoke, and divide by weaponizing, using race, and fabricating this so-called hate and misinformation. We're done being lectured by this man. Seriously, Harry is in no position to tell America what they should and should not do when it comes to foreign affairs and foreign policy, especially when it comes down to where taxpayer money goes. That's not your business, Harry. I don't want to give my taxpayer money to fund your lifestyle. I just don't. Why don't you go and ask your father, who has billions stashed away, to give $1 or $2 billion over to Ukraine to help the war? Better yet, why don't you go and stand on the front line if you're so committed to the cause? All of this with Harry is just lip service. You betcha he wants these wars to continue because it keeps Invictus alive, it keeps the cash cow alive, as well as it gives something for Halo Trust to do. Again, more siphoning of the money, lining pockets, getting richer off of people suffering. This is what I can't stand about the globalist elites, because that's what they're about. They're about death, destruction, and suffering for them to line their pockets. And that's why I find Prince Harry so repulsive now that something needs to be done. And I hope more Americans wake up to the fact that this guy is a threat on U.S. soil and he needs to go. I don't care where Harry goes. He has overstayed his welcome here, and he has literally insulted this country, so he needs to go. To all my viewers listening, don't let this asshole gaslight you, but speak up and push back. Share this video with just one person and get the word out. As Harry directed, speak truth to power, and he is the power that needs to now be held accountable. Enough is enough. Yesterday and today, it's all Harry's in our faces. Tomorrow, I'm pretty sure Meghan's going to do something to piss somebody off, and all of a sudden now she's going to be saturating the media. We haven't heard from the Markles. They're about due to come up and cause some sort of noise. And then we have Monday coming. What do you think these two are going to end up doing to try and make it about themselves? Obviously, they're going to do something. And don't think for a second that Harry and Meghan don't understand the psychological effects of how saturating the media and exhausting the media with this nonsense affects the public. Their ultimate goal is to get people like myself to just give up. Well, I'm going to tell you this right now, Harry. It's not happening. The more you do this, the more I want to speak out. Like you said, truth to power. You're a nobody, Harry. And people need to tell you that more. You need to just go away quietly with your wife and your 2 invisible children like you wanted to do and be done with it. Go ahead and do your life of service quietly and let others speak for you when it's deserved. None of what you're doing here is admirable or respectable. It's pathetic. Give the public a break. We're tired of being harassed by your face and your wife's face constantly in our morning feeds. That's all we ask, you know? Like, we're sick and tired of seeing your faces. Just go away for a little bit. But whatever, they're not going to listen to anything that we peasants have to say because they think that they are morally superior and right. So, you know, continue to keep going down this path, Harry. You're not going to make any friends. I promise you that. But what do you guys think? Definitely leave your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content. But until then, please be safe and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Do you think any of this is going to have an impact on the big state visit next week?
Any of what?
Any of what you've said here will have an impact on a big state
No, I
visit?
don't think so. Not at all.
Thank you. It was such a fraud.